Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Left Off the Map. Today, for this recipe, I'm recreating a recipe we made a little earlier in the season in our chili jam. I'm making that chili jam so that I can use it as my sauce or my marinade for a stir fry, a salmon stir fry I'm gonna do. So a very, very healthy recipe for the first one today. Okay, first thing I need to do for chili jam is cut up most of my ingredients. My capsicums I'm using for my stir fry, but my onion, my chilies, and my tomatoes are gonna go in to start making my jam. The main body of our jam has sort of collapsed down on itself, which is what we were after. I've added a pinch of salt in there already. I've got some apple cider vinegar, brown sugar, fish sauce, lemon juice. So that's where we're getting our sweet, our salty, our umami, and our sour from. It's super versatile and you'll probably get 3 stir fries out of it. So you'll use a third this time, and then later on if you want to make another one, it's in the fridge, ready to go. My jam is done. I've left it a little bit, probably it could have taken 2 or 3 more minutes, but because I'm using it straight away and it's going to go into another pan that's hot, that'll finish it off. So that can cool, like I said, and go in the fridge. You probably, for this, a third to a half is what we're going to use for this stir fry. I've got my wok on the wok burner, add some oil, and I'm just going to start by stir frying. This is all going to happen really quickly. I'm going to start by stir frying my vegetables, my capsicum, and I've got sliced and diced capsicum there, a chili. Because we've taken a lot of the heat out of the chilies in our jam because of the vinegar and the sugar, you're going to need some heat from somewhere, so a chili. And then that's just going to stir fry away while I prepare my salmon. So I've got 2 portions of salmon skin on. What I want to do is take the skin off. I'm going to use that later. Skin off. Hold on to that, and then just dice this up. And do the same with the other piece. Keep the skin, dice up the flesh. My wok toss. You want to clean up, if you've got any extra flesh on the skin, just clean it up. Try and get as much of that flesh off. It will just help later when we make our fish floss. You want to cook quickly so everything still has its texture. So that, I'm pretty happy. They've glossed up. They've got a few little coloured bits on them. So now my salmon goes in and my jam goes in and we finish it off. Salmon. About a third of my jam, just give that a toss to start. This salmon's only going to take 3 minutes probably to cook. My jam, about a third of that. That is pretty much done for our stir fry, so I can turn that off. While we were finishing that off, I added a small fry pan onto the hob on a hot flame, a little bit of oil. And the skin that I've kept, I'm just going to crisp it up. So just like you would do with crispy skin fish, we're going to put the skin down, and you'll need a palette knife because it'll want to curl, and that'll help you make sure you've got contact with the pan. Oil's hot enough now, my stir fry's been turned off, jam, don't have to worry about. So inside down, another bit in. Turn that first bit over. Turn our second bit over. Turn the heat off. And that's my crispy skin done. My rice. And then just for some crunchiness on top, piece of our crispy skin. That's our sweet chilli jam or caramelised chilli stir fry, whatever you want to call it. But again, it's simple, it's healthy, it's the kind of thing you want to be eating, and that little addition of the crispy skin on top makes it a little interesting and you get that nice crunchy texture. Let's go catch up with Holly and see where she is and what she's learning about.
Today we're exploring the beautiful Central Highlands of Tasmania, this mountainous region. I've just stopped in at the Westerway Raspberry Farm, where in a moment I'm going to be doing a bit of berry picking, but we're going to be picking blackberries. It's blackberry season at the moment, so I look forward to getting out there and digging in. The Central Highlands is a mountainous region with a very different landscape to some other areas that we've visited in the show. Just down the road is the Ouse River wine region, which is the most central wine region in Tasmania, producing award-winning Chardonnay and fabulous Pinot. Plus, they have a gorgeous vineyard nestled right into the steep hills among the Ouse River. But for now, we're going to be sticking to picking some fresh berries right here. Well, I've done my berry picking and rewarded myself accordingly with some homemade berry ice cream, and now I'm going to head on down the road to my farm stay at Rathmore Farm. Callie, thank you so much for having me at the beautiful Rathmore house. It is the most elegant and stylish and beautiful manor. It's just styled to absolute perfection, the ultimate experience. How did you come to have this property?
Well, first of all, lovely to have you back at this lovely property.
Thank you.
We saw a tiny photo of it in the newspaper, flew down for 2 days, inspected one property only in Tasmania, and was settled that this is where we want to be.
Love at first sight. I'm not surprised. It is pretty special.
Richard and I, as we walked around, we just smiled and nodded and didn't even have to discuss or argue over anything.
Good. A win.
We were both having, because I grew up on a sheep property in Queensland, 7,000 acres and lots more sheep than we've got here. I was very much at home as soon as I walked in.
Yeah.
And then when I went out to the woolshed, that was really sold me, and the shearers' quarters.
So Rathmore is situated in the beautiful, hilly, stunning Central Highlands.
This contrasted to where I grew up in Queensland, which was very flat, the Western Darling Downs of Queensland. And so when I came here, I was very comfortable with the sheep property and the all the appurtenances of sheep property, but I love the hills. And that really sold me as well. It just is so beautiful, and also the weather in the Central Highlands is very brisk and invigorating.
So what does a typical farm stay experience at Rathmore House look like?
In Rathmore House, we do the elegant heritage accommodation. Up the paddock, we have the rustic chic accommodation in the shearers' quarters, where we've got 4 rooms, all now with en suites, and a cottage with its own separate facilities. So people can be up there and totally away from it. They're welcome to come down to the homestead, and we do offer a homestead dinner, a 3-course meal. And tonight we're going to do it in the stables, the homestead dinner. The 3-course meal up in the stables, which is pretty special.
How special. I'm so excited to stay here again and exactly have these experiences that I have never grown up with. Not everyone has the opportunity to grow up on these sheep farms in these beautiful manners, and it really is quite the experience. So what else can you do around this area?
Well, there's the platypus to commune with. If the wind dies down, being the hills of the Central Highlands, we do get a lot of windy weather. However, at times it goes beautifully still, and you can take the little rowboat or a kayak out on the Dew Rivulet and paddle amongst the platypus.
How special.
And we've also got rainbow trout and ducks and things down there. But that's a really lovely experience. But we just need to wait for the wind to die down. Maybe in the morning we can do that early.
Yeah. So it is it's a fully catered experience as well.
Yes. And I'll do a talk on the history of the property, and we'll go and feed the animals. We can feed Hercules, the beautiful bullock. I think you fed him last time, the big black and white bullock.
Yes. Yep.
Well, he's got even bigger.
Oh, wow.
And more friendly.
Oh, good. I'm glad. All those experiences are incredible.
And we've got some lovely horses. We've got 4 horses at the moment, and they'll come up and we can take them some chaff and some sweet nibbles of carrot and apples and things they like. And the sheep, we can give them a little bit of grain. They'll still come up to me. The ones that I've bottle fed will still come up. The others are what I call wild, but they're, they'll just eat the grass. But the boys will come up to me at the fence. So we can feed them in the morning.
Perfect. You can really immerse yourself in being a real farmer. And now the rooms are so stunning. The way they're done, they're so typical, classy, elegant farm, and a little bit of marshmallows and treats in there too for you as well.
Yeah, and our shampoos and conditioners and homemade soaps, all those are made locally. And I've become very parochially Tasmanian. Everything must be very local.
We do everything so well here.
But local is lovely.
It really is. We're so lucky to have such fabulous options of everything surrounding us.
So when I go and see international cosmetics and things on beds, I shudder a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's really nice that you've done that. You've made it such an incredible experience where you showcase so much of Tasmania right here.
And particularly with things like our wines, and I definitely like to really specialise with the Tasmanian wines, and even southern Tasmanian wines, to get very parochial.
Absolutely, yes, right down here. And you do a beautiful evening in this room, I remember as well.
We usually do the country canapes here, a little bit of Tasmanian sparkling. We'll light the fire if it's cool enough, which it is very often. We even have fires over Christmas time, and it's more for the ambience.
Yeah. Typical Tasmania though as well.
Yes.
You probably get snow.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to settling in again for this night in this beautiful place, having dinner in the stables and just immersing myself in this incredible farm stay experience.
We look forward to serving dinner in the stables this evening.
There are lots of great farm stays popping up all around Tasmania, and Rathmore has to be one of the best ones. So jumping back into the recipes, I'm doing a salmon risotto. So something that would go really well with a good Tasmanian sparkling wine. To start our risotto, I'm going to use butter as the base. Sometimes you use oil, sometimes you use butter, depending what you want. I'm going to use butter for this one. Garlic, shallot and butter. I've got a little bit of white wine that I'm going to reduce down. But the main thing with a risotto is there's two really important points. There's one, what we call toasting the rice. So once you saute off your butter and your garlic and your shallot, then you put your rice in. You've got to make sure your rice is mixed really well so it gets toasted and covered with that butter. And that way your rice won't stick together. And we are using a sticky rice, so it's really important to do that, especially when using a rice like jasmine for your risotto, which is great because it's a sticky rice. We're going to create a nice creamy risotto, but you need to make sure you toast the rice to begin with. So heat on some butter in, and we'll start that melting. My garlic, probably 2 cloves of garlic thinly sliced and 1 shallot diced. And pop that in, like I said, let that saute for a little while, and then we'll add in our rice. So then about a cup of our jasmine rice, and we'll toast that rice. So move it around, get some heat into it, and make sure that it's well covered with that butter mixture. Most people think of arborio rice when they make risottos. Jasmine rice, I think, is fantastic. It has an awesome it's a great fragrant rice which goes really well with salmon, and it's a good sticky rice. So you get that sort of creaminess, that starchiness that comes off the outside of the grain that goes along with it. All right, garlic in, dice my shallot, and then I'll pop my rice in. Our risotto's got about 5 minutes to go, so I just want to cut my salmon up now. I've got fresh salmon, so skin off, hewn portions. I just want to dice these into sort of 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre dice. So cut in half, and then those strips in half again. You'll end up with these sort of long battens, like that. And then just go through and cut those into a 1 centimetre dice. I'll do the same with my other portion. And this is going to go in right at the end. So it won't have any cooking time with the risotto. We're going to use the residual heat that's left in the risotto once we turn it off, once we've finished cooking our risotto. And we'll use the heat that's left in there to cook our salmon through, because it's cut so small, these pieces are only going to take a couple of minutes to cook. So the heat that's left in the risotto will be enough to cook these pieces of fish through. And it's plenty. These 2 portions of salmon will be heaps for our risotto, which if you're having a salmon risotto, you want there to be lots of salmon in with the risotto. So it'll feel like there's just as much salmon as there is rice in this risotto, which is what you want, I think, if you're having a salmon risotto. All right, check this. Right, probably 2 more minutes of that cooking away. I'll add a little bit more. Now, a good risotto it shouldn't pile up. It's not a nazi goring. When it goes in the plate, it should sort of relax and lay flat. So it shouldn't be a mountain of rice. It should be nice and flat on the bottom. There's lots of tips about agitating the rice as you're cooking it, adding warm stock as you go along. I've done it every single way, and I don't think it really matters that much. So don't overthink it too much. But some people like a really thick risotto and they want it to be like a big sort of mountain on their plate, and that's fine. But I like it to be a bit wetter and a bit flatter when I have a risotto. So like I said, probably 2 more minutes of that cooking away, and then we'll turn our heat off and we'll add our fish. Give that a couple of minutes just for the fish to sort of poach through. And then we'll finish with a squeeze of lemon juice just at the end to sort of freshen it up. I'll check for seasoning, but there should be enough seasoning in there from our stock. And then we can plate it up. I just finished that with a little bit of cracked black pepper, a pinch of salt, and a squeeze of lemon on the top. And that, I think, is what a good risotto should look like. All right, we'll see you next time on Left Off the Map.